Hi, Capricorn. Hold on one second. I'm trying to get this incense lit. Hi, Capricorns. This is your home light security reading for the month of August. As we're getting ready to go through the Lionsgate, and I've been saying for everybody, the Lionsgate always is a big deal, but the way that the energies are just lined up this month, it's like a never-ending month. Hi, Mr. Neptune. You want to say hi to everybody? Since you came in here, say hi. All right. You're going to hang out with us today? Can I have one of these cards? Thank you. But this energy, the way that it's lined up, is really kind of catapulting the next 6 months when you look at the astrology and with the things that are now in a retrograde. So it's just kind of like, it feels the energy has been very bombarding, very but it's actually kind of, even though it feels like it's moving fast, it's kind of getting like slow motion to it. So it's pay attention to, what is going on around you and make sure that you're observing everything, because we're going straight from the Lionsgate into the full moon, and then at the end of the month it's going into the new moon in Virgo, which is right after Leo. So I mean, the energies is just the flow of them. Now let me see what I get for cards for you guys. Thank you. And I know there's more than one deck talking, so give me just a second to see what I'm pulling in for you all. Okay. Is there anything else before I switch to that other deck? All right, we'll see what the first 3 cards are saying, and then we'll see what the next are saying. I know I'm doing it in an odd hour today. It's just the way that it's working out. Now, the very first card that came out is more or less speaking to you about meditation. Speaking to you about taking time, meditate. It's finding your peace within, your inner image within, needing to protect and break away from the chaos. And that's part of what I'm talking about. The energy is just like da, 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 da. But there's a real need for focus is what I'm getting. Now, the next thing that's coming in is connected far beyond yourself, connecting into the past the 3D, which is into your higher spirituality, which actually makes sense, because as you come into the end of the month and you get away from the Lionsgate and you start to go in towards that new moon, it is taking place in your 9th house, which is your spiritual house, your psychic house. So it is definitely shifting consciousness is what this next card is. Meditate, shifting consciousness, and then receptivity. Allowing it to come in. It's the shifting, the duality, the consciousness coming into consciousness. This actually feels kind of mellow, I want to say, but it's not. It's the opener of the way is what's coming with it. I feel like it's a slow process of getting you to your next step, but the next step is definitely something you're going to feel at the end of the month. You may be feeling the revved up, the movement right now, but it's actually getting you to the next step. Tree of life is what's coming with it. So this is just going with the cycle, following the cycle through, coming all the way full spectrum around. Sacred relationship, coming back to yourself. I feel like you guys have been, I don't even want to say go, 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 but it's just like you haven't had time to just be, and I feel like this is what the energy is trying to get you back to, is back to your own, basically. And this whole month is going to be kind of pulling you closer to that home, is what I'm getting. Now, when I get into the astrology, I'm going to read down what is going on with the planetary movement, and then we'll look at the astrology itself. You have the full moon, which is taking place on the 11th. Now, that's just a few days after the Lion's Gate, but the Lion's Gate's going to be open after the Lion's Gate. It's already open. But this energy is, like I said, it's a steady flow. And the full moon is going to be taking place actually in Aquarius, which is an opposition of what the Lion's Gate was. Now, you have Venus, which is moving into Leo, where the Lion's Gate is, on the 11th, the same day as the full moon. Then you have Mars entering into Gemini on the 20th. The sun entering into Virgo on the 22nd. But one of the most important things right now is you have Uranus, which is going retrograde at the end of the month on the 24th, which means it's already in shadow and the shadow energy is there. Plus everything that's going on in Aries right now is more or less in retrograde. So that puts the universal first two houses more or less giving you a whole lot of retrograde energy. Mercury is moving into Libra on the 25th, and then you have that new moon taking place in Virgo on the 27th. And I'm trying to make my paper sit here. It keeps falling back at me. All right. So I always tell everybody when I do these that I do it from where the sun is, because where the sun is technically the house that you are walking through at the moment. And that's technically the energies. Now for you, this is your 8th and 9th house, I believe. Yeah, your 8th and 9th house. Now, like I said, wherever the sun technically is the house that you are walking through. And you're walking through the energies of where the Lion's Gate is taking place. For you, that's the 8th house. Now, this has a lot to do, your overall energy has a lot to do with your choice of your will. Your choice of your will versus your deep inner emotions, your more private energies, and how you're allowing that private energy, that private choice of will, private identification with yourself to be communicated socially. And a lot of that is what you're seeing right now in general. Now, the 8th house is your relationship house, but it's the rules, it's the walls, the boundaries of the relationship house. Put it this way, with you guys being Capricorns, you guys are very grounded. You like your building blocks. You like your security. You like to know that you have set a proper, strong foundation. Well, the 8th house is about making sure that the relationships have a good and strong foundation. And if the foundation's raveling, crumbling, having problems, does it need to be addressed? Does it need to be cleaned up, so to speak? This is what the 8th house is. It is the actual ability to make these relationships strengthen and mature and continue to grow. Or it shows you where you're not in sync anymore and you need to kind of go your separate ways, or at least address things so you can find out what is up with the relationships and if they are prosperous. Long story short. Now, it's the rules, the walls, the boundaries of the relationships that make them last, make them have strong building blocks. Now, this is where your Lion's Gate energy is. So you're really looking at the energies of your relationships. And I feel like I want to say in some of this, it's your commitments, but it is commitments, because the 8th house is it's inheritances, it's taxes, it's wills, it's the rules of the relationship, it's the joint efforts, the joint finances. And it's saying in these areas, you're really taking a look at the relationships, how secure they are and how strong they are. Now, you have Ceres here with the sun illuminating how these relationships are and how much you can count on them or not, as well as the fact that Ceres is the threefold. She's teaching you about how to nurture it properly, as well as where you're neglecting things in these relationships and it's not nurturing it. So the sun and the Lion's Gate is illuminating it, as well as showing you what needs to be nurtured or what's being neglected, what's going to create that threefold, and how that threefold will actually open and fold, so to speak. Now, a few days after the Lion's Gate, you have Venus moving in here, bringing extra sensitivity. That doesn't make it good or bad. Venus is not love. Venus is about your sensitivity. She's telling you things that are good for you, where the communication is good, where it makes you feel comfortable, where it makes you feel secure. But Venus is also telling you about where it's not making you feel so secure, where it feels like it's been lies or betrayal. Venus tells you about what makes you feel this way, secure or insecure, and emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically. She's tapping directly into these foundations of these relationships and how strong or insecure they are. And with the Lion's Gate energy, it's very open for you to see a much more pure, authentic truth to these relationships at this time. However, like I said, Venus coming in is going to make that more sensitive. Now, you have the full moon, which is technically going to be taking place in opposition of it, which is in your second house. The full moon takes place on the 11th. Venus moves into Leo on the 11th. Okay, now the relationships are showing you their foundation, but it's also important for you to acknowledge your part in these relationships, because for you, your second house is Aquarius, where that full moon is taking place, which means it's going to be bringing up and into your attention your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, where you are pushing to receive that self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. See, because it's Saturn. It's speaking to you about rules, walls, and boundaries that support your money house. Your second house is your money house. It is your manifestation house. It is your law of attraction house. But you have Saturn here and the full moon, okay, bringing up just how secure, how liberated, how dignified you are feeling, or lack thereof it. The second house is also responsible for the possessions, such as little things like your crystals that make you feel secure, because your crystals, for whatever reason, you're carrying them, you have them in your purse, your necklace, whatever. There's a reason why you have them. There's a reason why women choose the purses that they choose, or the clothing. And what I'm saying is, these little things of possessions, like your cell phone, that you use to make you feel secure about yourself, these are helping strengthening that self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, because it helps you feel like you. But when you're not in that energy of feeling like you, then the possession becomes you. And this is directly, the Lion's Gate is speaking to you about the relationships, them being able to be prosperous, them being able to have a strong foundation, your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem. Are you feeling liberated in these relationships? Are you feeling belittled or pushed upon? Versus, are you the one who might be pushing and manipulating? So it's asking you to see an honest, fair balance within these relationships. And if any rules, walls, and boundaries need to be adjusted to make sure that the foundation of these relationships are prosperous, are going to last. Now, when it gets closer to the end of the month, though, it's coming from these relationships energy, and it's moving into your 9th house. Oh, crap, I hit the wrong button. It's moving into your 9th house. Hey, why is my phone doing that? I don't necessarily need it. I know where everything is, but I like to be able to look back and validate I'm right, and I don't know what I pushed. Thank you. because your ninth house is where the new moon is going to take place. And this has a big part to do with where this energy is going for the whole month. It is starting with the relationships, but the relationships are also reminding you that you are part of them. You are part of the responsibility of them, as well as the responsibility for your own self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, for your own liberation, your own manifestation, your own financial situation. Like I said, your second house is all about how you create and spend your money, the possessions that help you feel like that. And then it is the law of attraction house, which ultimately brings the manifestation forward. So it's asking you, based off these relationships, how strong are you feeling in your own shoes, in your own skin? And then it's moving into that ninth house. The ninth house is where the new moon will be on the 27th at the end of the month in Virgo. Now, this is being a little bit more retentive, a little particular on your spirituality. And that's just because it's a Virgo energy where the new moon is taking place. But it's asking you to be able to explore new opportunities, asking you to explore new ideas and being able to fine tune these ideas, as well as your spirituality, your soulfulness, your psychic energy, and allow it to grow and prosper as well. This part of what this is. The ninth house is your higher education, your higher learning, your spirituality, but it's your ethics, your morals, it's your philosophy, your religion. And it's asking you more or less to be able to finely tune it and stretch it into something that's newer, something that's fresher, something that's going to allow that spiritual growth to prosper, as well as with the relationships that you've been evaluating throughout the month. So, see, it's important. It's not just about the relationships. It is, but it's about where, in the end, these relationships are also going to help you spiritually grow, you soulfully grow, your psychic activity and psychic abilities to tap into newer areas, and giving yourself the okay to try these new things. And part of it is going to come back to making sure that it has to do with being with the right synchronicity of people in these relationships that help you grow. Now, as you move out of your ninth house, your 11th house, which is that outer world and supporting the goals, dreams, ambitions, versus the people and the committees, the groups, and the memberships that you're part of. So still sticking within that same kind of idea here. This is where the South Node is. This is saying the South Node in Scorpio for you in your 11th house flat out is saying that you need to get out of your comfort zone about the way you see these relationships, because you may be viewing them from a different point of view from what's actually best for you. And what I mean by that is, any time the South Node is somewhere, it is telling you what you're very good at, but it's not good for you anymore. So this may be speaking to you on your Capricorn energy, that grounded energy. You may not be giving things a chance because of the way you were raised, the way your mind thinks, the way society has taught you. And it's saying, I always say that the relationships, the committees, the groups, the memberships, they should be supporting those goals, dreams, and ambitions. If they're not, then they're more or less they're manipulating the situation. And this is saying, are you possibly standing in the way of manipulating your own growth? Okay. And what I mean by that isn't that you're putting yourself down, but that Capricorn cold energy of this is the building block. This is the way it is. This. If you're so stuck on this is the process, this is the way that I've done it, this is the way it's always been, because Capricorns are so grounded This is talking about your goals, your dreams, your ambitions. And are you maybe not giving enough? Well, let's try something new. Energy to the people that are there to help you. Are you maybe plowing them down, plowing down the situation with what you've always known? And in the past may have worked, but maybe isn't working quite as well anymore because it's time for you to step into a new spot, into a place of a different level of growth. And this is specifically saying make sure that you guys are, your groups, your memberships, your committees are still on the same wavelength of what you would like to grow into, your goals, your dreams, your ambitions. But it's saying the way you've always gone about it might need to be tweaked so that it can actually become, not that big, but that big. And giving yourself a whole new opportunity. Like I said, it has a lot to do with your spirituality, your soulfulness, and taking a chance at trying things in new ways. That doesn't mean that you're not still grounded or that you're not still being that Capricorn, but it's going, let's give it a little bit of leadway and see if maybe if we give the grounding a little bit more area for structure, then the structure just might actually mature and grow twice as much. That's what I'm getting from it. Now, but I'm seeing most of this taking place at the end of the month. It's something that you're like evaluating as you come into the end of the month. Now, you still have Pluto in your first sign, and it's still going to be here for another year and a half approximately. Pluto is death, decay, and destruction, for renewal, rebirth, regeneration. This is in a form what I'm talking about. This is, as I like to put it a lot of times, Pluto is, though I walk through the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. So this is saying in your character, in your personality, in your how you identify with the world around you, how you identify with yourself, how you identify with your character and your physical body. Pluto being here is saying there's more to you than you're giving yourself credit for. There's more to you than you're seeing. Though I walk through the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. So there's more to learn about your character. There's more to learn about your soulfulness. There's more to learn about your spirituality. There's more to learn about how you identify. And there's areas, though I walk through the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, that you are still fearing, that you don't fully see. You may not realize you fear it. It's an area that you haven't tapped into according to your own identity. That's all. But it's trying to tell you that if you can dig a little bit rawer, a little deeper into the roots of you, there's so much more than what even you're giving yourself credit for or you're seeing. And it's just giving you that oomph of, hey man, give yourself the chance to love yourself into a whole new you. Not changing, but exploring more. Now, as you move into your second house, again, that is where you're going to have the full moon, your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, liberation. Really, are you tapping into that additional areas of yourself? Are you giving yourself the chance to realize that there's these other areas, these other avenues, these other ideas that you haven't explored? There's more magic out there than you've explored of yourself, as well as of what you could be tapping into. It's kind of like, are you giving yourself the chance to explore new ideas that might be interesting and at least go, nah, I'm not into that. Let me throw that one out the window, and then still be willing to try something new. Now, your third house is your is your communication house. You still have Neptune in retrograde here. But that's just saying Open up to that communication. Open up to your own spirituality. Open up to the chance of finding even more magic about yourself, giving yourself that chance of tapping into what is unconscious to you. And I know this sounds difficult because it's unconscious until it becomes conscious. But this, with your magic, your Neptune, it's fantasy versus reality, where you can breathe magic into a brand new life, or you can continue to live the same old life. And this is your communication, your actual communication with that source energy, because it's Pisces energy with Neptune. So this is saying there's more for you to breathe into in the communication of that unconsciousness and make it part of your consciousness. So it would be like leveling from a level 7 to a level 10 by really tapping in to, remember, Pisces is also the universal 12th house, where our skeletons are in the closet, our grief, sorrow, shame, blame, and our insecurities. It's the stuff we put in the closet, we lock up, and we don't ever want to see again. But that's where your communication is, hidden in there. And that's where your magic is going to amplify from tapping into that. Now, your 4th and your 5th house is where things start to get a little bit different. And this is why I'm pushing on you to tap into yourself so much. See, because your 4th house is your inner emotional security. It is the roots of who and what you are. But it's Aries for you. Everything in Aries is in retrograde right now. It has Eris, which is what I always call Medusa, trouble, toil, strife. It has Chiron, the wounded healer, and it has Jupiter, which is the abundance, the higher knowledge, all in the head, which is what Aries is, the head, the mind thinking, but that's in your inner emotional security right now, the 5th house for you. So your mind technically has a way of securing or insecuring from deep inside of you that unconscious energy of your inner emotional security. And the thing is, that mind, like I said, Aries energy has everybody in retrograde right now, especially with Eris, trouble, toil, strife, and injustice, doubting, doing what I always call vampire syndrome. And what I mean when I call it vampire syndrome is, well, this is what I know. This is why it doesn't work. This is the problem here. This. And I'd rather continue to bitch about this than to go, let me find something new and find a way around this. Sucking onto something when there's nothing left of it to suck onto. Vampire syndrome. Eris is trouble, toil, strife. Holding on to what doesn't serve you. Holding on to what's negative. Holding on to what's keeping you from moving forward. That's what Eris is. And it's saying, in your mind, where do you keep going back to that? Chiron's the wounded healer going, okay, well, then that's why I can't move forward. Because he's in retrograde. And Jupiter is a higher knowledge and abundance, but he can only give you that positive abundance when you are feeding him positive energy. If you're feeding him from a negative, mindful state of mind and really getting into, I have to protect myself because we're talking about inner emotional security. No. I can't let that happen because then I'm not secure. No. This is exactly why I'm saying it's important to step out of your comfort zone and grow right now, because that head energy of Aries and retrograde is going to make you want to overprotect. But what you're actually going to be doing, if you follow that, is locking yourself up and not growing. And this is saying, don't let that negative thinking, that low vibrational thinking, that keeping everything at, link at bounds and links away from you for your own security. Don't lock yourself up and then ultimately cause yourself to be locked up in your own issues. This is a time for growth. This is why it's a challenge right now. Now, as you move into your 5th house, which is your creativity house, you have Mars still here up until what, the 24th, the 20th, and it's there with Uranus, which is in shadow, sitting on top of the North Node. Your 5th house is your ability to create, your ability to have fun, to be open, to allow the inner child to breathe, to play, to have excitement. It's your pursuit of pleasure. It's your inner sexuality. It's where you meet the people who, you are kindred to, the people who, you have things in common with, and that you want to have in your life, you want to experience. But Uranus, your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, your freedom is in your head in shadow until the end of the month when it goes retrograde. So it's questioning your ability to create. It's questioning your ability to believe in your own individuality, your own uniqueness, to trust in what you want to enjoy, what you want to have fun with, what you want to try to breathe into life. And then if it's tapping into that inner emotional security of that 5th house in retrograde, it'll make you doubt it even more. So this is about getting out of your comfort zone and trying new things. You can still stay grounded. You can still make sure that you're creating a strong foundation, but be willing to understand that the foundation might need to be built differently from the way it's always been. And then tap into the new things that will ultimately, flourish and bloom into so much more than what you're probably realizing is possible. Now, your 6th house is where Mars is going to be moving into at the end of the month. And it's moving in here with Pallas, Athena, the warrior goddess. This is saying your mundane tasks, your daily mundane. Nothing is mundane. It's just we overlook it because we do it so repetitively. Mars moving into Gemini is your inner warrior, coming into your daily activities, your people, places, and things of energies that you consume on a daily basis. And this is either going to fill it with a lot more action again at the end of the month. Ooh, I've come up with this idea. Mars is passion, action, aggression. And this is saying really wanting to start to step out and try these new things, take these changes, put them into action, come closer to the end of the month, but make sure it's, logically thinking it through because it is coming on top of Athena, the warrior goddess. So this is strategically using your passion to bring it into fruition, which is something a Capricorn should be able to be getting down with, be able to understand, let me fuel my energy, but be secure at the same time. So it's being up in the air at the same time as it's grounded. It's traveling both ends of the tree, like you were given the tree of life. Now, lastly, but definitely not least, is your 7th house. This is Lilith. Lilith is in your 7th house of Cancer right now. Now, I was saying most of this has to do with your relationship zone and making sure that you're strengthening and really critiquing the foundation. The relationships themselves, though, might be giving you a little bit of a problem because Lilith is here in Cancer. It is not her place in Cancer to feel very secure. She's more submissive. Cancer is a loving energy, a nurturing energy, a mothering energy. And in the relationships, this is you taking on a little bit of that mother hen energy. However, Lilith isn't independent, doesn't show her independence here. She shows more of a submissive energy here. And this is saying Yes, you want to claim your own thoughts, your own ideas, your own individuality in these relationships. You don't want to submissively just ignore what is important to you. You do want to allow others to have their opinions and their ideas and be their unique selves, but you want to make sure that you are not being submissive and allowing others to push their way through here, because you have decisions to make on your own growth. I love you guys. Bye.